It was an incredible night. The stars lit up a large, luxurious estate with a garden and a fountain. Everything looked very beautiful. There were a lot of people inside the estate. It was one of the social parties where people talked and drank champagne. A small, plump man drinks his whiskey with ice and hears someone calling him by name. It was the waiter who informed him that the evening games would soon begin and asked him if he wanted to participate. The man replied that he would not do it again. This man's name was William Bradshaw. He was the Viscount's heir. The present Viscount Bradshaw was quite well known in aristocratic circles. The waiter turned to the man and said that if he dares, he is invited. The man asked him what kind of party it is, if there is a separate list of people invited there. The waiters added that for the members of their club, games are always held and drinks are distributed. The waiters said that in addition, they share the hottest news and promotions of the week, and added that he will have a good time. The man agreed and said that he would definitely tear down the bush today, but everyone present knew that he would leave everything he had here again. After the death of his wife, William became addicted to gambling and lost all the property of the Bradshaw family. He didn't have a single piece of land left, so he even had to lay down a family coat of arms. The only value he has left is his daughter, Dorene Bradshaw. She was the most beautiful girl on the continent. There was an era of capital when the prices of shares and futures soared, an era when the country went crazy with bonds and real estate. Here, everything could be bought with money, title, power, honor. It seemed unreal, but here you could buy even the most beautiful girl in Vinosh. And of course, how can the first beauty of the continent not be valuable to her father, who is in a pile of debts? The father turned to the girl and said that she should also try hard. The girl agreed with him. At this time, bidding for the girl began. Viscount Mason offered 15,000 gold, and Count John Adams 20,000 gold, and finally 50,000 gold from the king of the famous island state. Although the father loved his daughter, the 50,000 gold coins that were paid for his daughter's beautiful face meant more to him. The man grabbed his daughter by the neck and told her to raise her head so that they could see her beauty. But unfortunately, the troubles of the unfortunate Dorene did not end there. She was tormented by the disgusting thought that if she ran away, it might be the solution to her problems. It was a problem, but before that could happen, it would just be blocked. The girl lived in a large, beautiful estate. It seemed like a dream. It was already 4 p.m. on the clock. The girl's teacher was very worried that Lady Dorene was still missing because she was never late for class. The maids couldn't wait to leave. She was interested in what was happening here. The woman suggested that she might be late because today is a math class, because Dorene doesn't like her. But later, she changed her mind thinking about what if she didn't like the subject. She was never late and never refused to do her homework, although she was often bored in class, but for her age, she was a good student. That is why, for a long time, Helen sincerely wanted to work together with the girl. Their work was interrupted by some commotion. 2 men were breaking down the front door. They certainly did not look friendly. All this good life was until Bradshaw had financial problems. But Dorene was still too young to handle all this. The girl politely asked the teacher to finish for today. The girl definitely felt uncomfortable. She was too sensitive. The teacher did not understand how the Viscount could do such a thing to his kind, gentle daughter. Her thoughts were interrupted by a voice from which it was possible to understand that they had problems. The Viscount burst into the teacher's room and said that his daughter Dorene had been kidnapped. The teacher was very worried. The Viscount continued that some bandits kidnapped his daughter. He did not know what to do. He was very sorry for his poor girl. The teacher did not believe that this was true until the end. Could she really have been kidnapped? Helen turned to the Viscount and said that in this case, what kind of lady is standing next to him, and pointed her fingers in the direction of the man. He turned and saw his daughter in front of him. The girl politely congratulated her father and added that today is such a beautiful day. The man was very surprised by such an unexpected appearance of his daughter. He could not believe that it was her. The man asked her what happened and added that he came as soon as he heard the news about her. At that time, the girl straightened her hair and entered the room where the teacher was standing. She turned to her father with a serious face and said that they would talk after her classes. The man tried to talk to his daughter. He begged her to tell what happened. But the girl closed the door and said no, and added that she was already late for the lesson. The man tried to open the door. He did not understand what had happened, why everything was not as he was told. The teacher asked her if she was okay and added that the owner, the Viscount, said that she had been kidnapped. The girl simply replied that everything was fine with her. The girl sat and thought that her fiancés must have been very excited to learn that she had run away. Young and shy, smart and polite, she never went against her father's will. And only because of her beauty, this poor girl was going to be sold to a complete stranger. That was the Viscount's daughter, Dorene Bradshaw. But today, in the presence of her mentor, Dorene behaved differently than usual, high-minded but still elegant, polite, but already more confident and determined. She had never been like that before, but surprisingly it suited her, as if she had put on clothes that did not fit her before. The girl said that now she knows for sure that her father is not able to solve this situation. The teacher noticed that something was falling from the girl's head, until she tried to remove it from her hair. Helen asked what it was. The girl answered that it was straw she had in the bag, and the teacher was very surprised by the girl's answer. And asked if she was really kidnapped. The girl answered that she was kidnapped. And she added that her father knew that she was going to be kidnapped and let everyone out on the street. But in order not to happen to his daughter, he must continue to live. It sounded too cruel and sad for a 15-year-old girl. Maybe it would be easier for her if she said such things without holding back tears. Dorene said that this is how he can live his life. The teacher questioned her. Folding her hands, the girl replied that he should not wait for his fate to decide itself. And the girl added, asking the teacher if everything is correct. The teacher answered her that if she was really kidnapped, how was she able to return on her own? And she added, asking how she managed to get out of there without a single scratch. Dorene turned to her, asking permission to answer a question, and continued by saying that if the tea unexpectedly started to turn bitter. Looking into her tea, she added, asking what the reason could be. But the teacher did not understand this strange comparison of the girl, so she decided to ask what she meant. The girl replied that in this case, she would explain more simply and said that she sold something more valuable than her body. The girl addressed her by name and said that she'd been kind to her all this time and asked to allow her to say something. Dvoryan continued by saying that if she has Wagon shares, they should never be sold. She did not understand and asked her about the promotion. The girl answered her that very soon these shares will rise to the sky. When the girl left, her room was filled with warm sunlight and the sweet aroma of lavender. That morning she woke up under a down blanket that cost her 2,000 gold. The girl really looked very beautiful. She had incredible golden hair and deep green eyes. She felt as if she was still asleep. Every time the girl looked at the purple trail left by her expensive bath products, she became a little happier knowing that she could afford it. Bathing in her incredible bath, the girl thought that money is money and happiness is in it. But 5 years ago, Bradshaw faced a crisis due to her father's extravagant lifestyle. But despite this, one moment changed everything and she earned 1,000,000 gold in a year. Now, looking at her income, she's not inferior even to the counts. Dorene earned all this money instead of her father. However, she knew that at any moment she could return to those days when she drank her bitter black tea and trembled with fear. She can go back to the time when grooms were considered as a means for a better life, when it was not she who chose but hers. At this time, the girl's memories and thoughts were interrupted by her maid who called her. She reminded the young girl that she had half an hour left. The girl silently looked at her and did not answer her. The girl remembered that the share market opens at 9 o'clock and she should hurry. She told her maid that it was good and invited her to start. The maid made the girl look good by combing her hair. The girl chose a beautiful outfit for her hostess, along with incredible jewelry that matched her eyes so well. Finally, the girl was ready. She was wearing an incredible dress and in general she had a unique look. The girl turned to Anna and told her that it seems that there will be no movement in Marsala's salon for some time. And she continued by saying that if nothing changes in the 3 positions, we will leave the contract for 20,000 shares. The maid meekly agreed with her. Dorene asked that today she plans to cooperate in the field of heavy industry, so she ordered to accept requests only from this area. The maid, of course, agreed with her. At this very time, there were a lot of people on the stock market. There was a very loud noise, and everyone was competing for the right to buy something. Assistant Dorene was no exception. The guy asked if they could hear his maid, who was in contact with him, answered him that everything was fine. The maid informed Dorene that everything had already begun. The maid held a magic stone in her hands. At this time, the bidding began. The maid said that Welsh steel is 34.0. The guy told her that the Nelson Company is 6.1 and added that the Tucker Machine Company is 53.6, a mysterious glowing stone with magical power. Depending on the method and degree of processing, it can be used as equipment or as energy resources, and with the help of a pair of such stones you can communicate. Previously, Monostone was used only as a source of light. But when they began to break his internal potential, it helped Venosha make a big leap in technological development. And it was then that the era of endless development of the world began, in which anyone could get rich through investments. And Dorene, whom everyone considered very kind and gentle, became the best representative of this generation. She became the best genius of financial games. It was even hard to imagine that in just 5 years she would achieve such a result. Meanwhile, her trade continued. The maid continued to provide information from their assistant regarding stock prices. Finally, having chosen the best opportunity, the girl orders to sell 20,000 shares of Welsh steel. The girl gives the order to sell everything else by the end of today. But even when she paid all the debts to Bradshaw, she could not leave the family, because unlike Venosha's men, who are recognized as adults upon reaching the age of 18, women come of age at the age of 23, and by that time they cannot even open a personal account. Dorene, not having sufficient economic power, had difficulty becoming independent before entering adulthood. In addition, the average age of marriage for women was earlier than for men, namely at 18 years and for the latter at 22. Men acquire the status of privileges as soon as they are born. Unlike them, women get the same only if they are lucky enough to marry a successful man. The girl was very angry at this unfair reality. She wondered whether it is possible to call a happy woman who is considered a thing. The girl clearly understood that in 2 years she would definitely leave this place. While there was a fierce discussion in her head, her maid turned to her and informed her that a visitor had come to her. The girl was surprised because she was waiting for guests. The girl said that if he came at such a time, is it really that miserable Count again? The maid answered in the affirmative. The girl at that time was completely dissatisfied with such news because she was waiting for a meeting with Count Adams. Count Adams is a person who cannot be called handsome. Moreover, he communicates closely with the president of the bank and the royal family, so unlike other aristocrats, it will be difficult for him to go bankrupt. The girl did not believe that even her own father tried to marry her off to this person. The maid asked the girl if Count Adams was a bad party. The girl answered her that no, and the problem is not even in appearance. The girl told the maid that this count has a very evil daughter, Merlin Adams, and if she enters their family, this evil girl will definitely try to poison her. But after gathering herself, the girl ordered her maid to invite the guest inside. Surprisingly, as a man is more educated than a woman, there are not enough manners not to show up in someone else's house so unceremoniously. The girl knew uncertainly what she should do, so that he could not even think about returning here again. The count sat at the table and drank a cup of tea while the girl entered the room and greeted him. The girl wanted to end it as soon as possible, so she asked him if he was here today to propose to her again. The guy was stunned by the girl's appearance. She was beautiful, as always. The guy stood up to greet her. Adams approached her and told her that since she already knew about it, she didn't think it was time to agree, to which the girl replied that she didn't think so. The guy continued turning to her and said that, as he had already said before, a woman cannot be considered complete until she has a partner with whom she will spend the rest of her days. The girl answered him that she would really need a life partner. At this time, the boy thinks that everything is right. It's time to surrender, and the boy thinks that it's time to accept his faithful servant of the royal family and friend of the bank president. But the girl answers him that despite this, she would like to see a man a little younger than him next to her. The guy was shocked by the girl's answer. He could not believe that she was refusing him again. The guy turned to her saying that he had already told her a long time ago that she was not good at politeness and asked her if she knew that she had a bad reputation in society. And the boy added that in order to be loved, a woman must be kind and submissive. The count said that he was instructing her only out of wisdom and the hope that she would come to her senses and begin to behave accordingly. The guy added that if she doesn't listen to his advice, she will have to sell all her luxury items. At this time, the girl thinks that because of her stupidity, she did not understand the deep intentions of the count. The girl turned to him and said that based on his words, wisdom is acquired with experience, and continued by asking whether a wise man offers a happy woman next to him. The guy nodded his head affirmatively and answered that everything is correct, and that's exactly what he didn't mean. The girl clapped her hands and told him that now she understands everything, and she added that in such a case, the best option for her would be marriage with Count Howard. The girl said that he is old enough and even has gray hair. She said that he is an ideal groom, worthy and wise. The boy was no longer irritated. He said no and added that the fact that he is old does not mean that this is a suitable option. The girl asked him that this means that even if you are young, you can be worthy. The boy called the girl a fool and was very angry that she did not understand what he was leading to. Covering her face with her hand, the girl apologized to the count and said that she did not want to make him angry. And she added that if she is so stupid and inexperienced, she does not understand why he wants to marry her so much. The guy sincerely did not understand what was happening, and it angered him even more. He asked her what, suddenly grabbing the girl by the fragile handle. The boy scared her for no reason. Adams turned to the girl and said that if he will teach her, she will understand everything. At this time, the girl was very angry by this sudden movement of this already disgusting count. The girl was shocked by the boy's act and turned to him, saying that he could not convince her with words, so he tried to use force. And she continued by saying that, however, she does not think that a person with the title of count would want to harm her, and asked him whether it was right. The guy holding her hand said that he just wanted to guide her on the right path and added that it was just care. The girl decided not to restrain her anger and sharply pulled her hand out of his steel grip. The guy started shouting at her, saying that she was being too rude and added that he would just leave today. In parting, he turned to the girl and said that he would not forgive such disrespect next time. Sitting on the sofa, the girl did not understand how long she would have to endure this pig. The girl sat and began to think about what would have happened if she had been born a man. She was sure that she had succeeded in her exercises a long, long time ago. And what pleased the girl the most was that she would not have to experience these disgusting courtships. The girl sits and thoughtfully says that if this person were not so close to Westwood, but she would have driven him away a long time ago. He annoyed the girl incredibly much. Remembering this man, the girl started to get angry again and called him the Westwood dog. 10 years ago, the Westwood family provided the royal couple, who were on the verge of bankruptcy, a large loan. Subsequently, they made their wealth even greater and power by enlisting the support of the king. Thus, the president of the bank, Theodore Westwood, was awarded the title of Marquis, and the royal family received a large sum of money for several years. It would seem that the best solution would be to join such an alliance, but Dorene missed this chance, so she had to cope on her own. So she was able to earn even more money, and Westwood tried to find out who was behind her. However, Dorene avoided all the traps thanks to her partner. After all, behind her stood the king of the criminal world, who stopped engaging in money laundering and began to receive a large percentage of the profit of the stock. His name was Eric Neiman. When he was still very young, his life changed in an instant. Then, 5 years ago, he met young Dorene in an abandoned building. He turned to the girl saying that if she would sit quietly, he would let her go in peace and asked her not to create problems for him. The girl asked him if he was asked to kidnap her for 90 gold coins. The guy was surprised that the girl knew all this and told her that she is very guesswork. The girl continued by saying that for this amount, you can live for about 3 months. And she continued by asking the boy what he will do after that. Maybe he is going to do miserable things for the rest of his days. And she noted that she would be able to bring him 1,000,000 gold coins. The boy was shocked by such news and asked her how she could say such things when she herself was sold for the sake of the family gods. The girl approached him and asked if he knew what was the most important thing about the taste of black tea. The girl replied that it was the temperature, because if the tea suddenly became bitter, then the problem was either in the stove or in the hands of the maid who prepared it. The guy asked her if she was making fun of him, and the girl offered to change the subject. The girl asked if he knew that the employees of the railway enterprise had been on strike for 2 months. The boy answered her that this is how the Western Railway, which has not even been a year old, stopped its work. Dorene asked him if he knew that the Westwood Bank was behind this. The guy looked very surprised and therefore asked her again. She began to tell that he made a big bet that the company's shares would fall even before the strike began. Shares did not fall. The bank provoked boycotting workers who did not take a large loan. The girl also asked if he now understood why the taste of the tea had changed. Molodick did not understand why she spoke about tea again and asked her what she meant. Dorene was surprised that he still didn't understand and said that there were no problems with the stove or the maid, and that they changed only the coal used in the furnace to the cheapest one. And since they have no money, they use cheap raw materials and they can afford coal, which will be cheaper than that of the workers. And the girl asked him if he knew where that coal came from. The guy looked very surprised by such conclusions. The guy replied that of course he knows. His younger brother stole and sold fuel from the Western Railway, for which he was eventually killed. The guy added that coal was being transported in the western direction, which was blocked due to strikes. The girl replied that everything is true, and that she heard that 2 days ago he left early in the morning or late at night. The guy didn't believe the girl's words because it couldn't be. The negotiations failed and the strikers are still there. The girl explained that it was done on purpose and the discussion ended behind the scenes, and added that if the shares of the railway company fall, the trains will start running again. In the end, the girl concluded that, based on what was said earlier, traffic had been restored 2 days ago. In other words, the strike will soon be over, so you should save money and buy these shares now. The girl added that it is worth selling coal and magic stones as soon as possible because the price raised in connection with the strike will decrease in the near future. The guy understood everything the girl said, but he was interested for one moment in what she would get out of it. The girl could breathe a sigh of relief and said that she would get freedom from the obligation to marry all those men. And she added that this is not all, and she also wants 30% of their profit. The girl tried to change the boy's mind, so she said that this might be his last chance, and asked him to think everything through. The guy agreed to her terms, but added that if she lied, he would find her and kill her. The girl was glad that the situation turned out exactly the way she wanted it, and added that this was her goal. The girl did not even believe that she had to make so much effort to convince him. At this time, someone broke into the girl's thoughts and turned to her, saying, "Where is she?" He turned out to be her father. He addressed her, calling her his beloved daughter. Father began to quickly stroke her head and say that he heard that Count Adams was bothering her again and told her to spank his ass next time. It couldn't be said that the girl was happy about such a meeting, especially because she didn't like her father's words, because if she really did it, he would be the first to run to lick his wounds. But later, pulling herself together, she asked him what he was doing here. Brought. The father began to ask as if he could not just see her. It is so sad, but the girl knew that he would not go to her just like that, so she asked him to get to the point. Father began to pitifully ask if she knew Mrs. Marion, whom he saw yesterday. She was in a bad condition. The girl understood what was the matter and asked him if he wanted to throw her shares that would grow in price. The girl replied that she has nothing to teach those who are familiar with Count Arrington. The father noticed that the account she was using had his name on it, and he accidentally saw her transaction history. The girl was furious. She was very worried about the laws of the Rotten Vinoche. She made an assumption that apparently the bank had given him information. Dorene asked her father why he taught her. The father replied that about 3 or 4 days ago, the Marsala salon had a small sale. The man sincerely believed that this information could be useful and asked her what she thought. The girl answered that no, she does not know how to keep her mouth shut and she cannot say anything more. The father began to ask Dorene. He promised to give her more information, but the girl was adamant. She answered him that it was not necessary to scatter such words. Dorene continued that even without this, she has a bad relationship with Westwood and trouble may arise. The girl told her father that Eric should come to her very soon and asked him to leave. The father asked her what he was doing here. But later the father said that he would come later. Putting the money on the table, he asked the girl to think about when she would buy Marina's new collection. At this time, Eric had already come to the girl. He asked her if William visited her. The girl answered him that it was none of his business and noted that he had stopped contacting her citing business. She asked if something happened to him. The boy approached the girl and began to sort through her golden hair. He noticed that the girl had changed perfume, some other aroma. The girl replied that he was behaving like a pervert and asked him to stop. The guy noticed that 5 years ago she was cuter. The girl asked to put the money on the spot and start a conversation. The guy did not understand where she got such a lot of money. He asked if William wanted her to tell him anything else. The girl answered him that he had better forget about it and said that it would be better to work on strengthening the protection of the account. The boy replied that if she had just joined him, this would not have happened. But the girl remarked that she would rather trust an idiot than a bandit. Holding the money in his hands, the boy replied that he had nothing to say to that. In turn, the girl noted that this is not an answer for a bandit. Putting the money on the table, the boy turned to the girl and said that he was sorry, but today he is here for the sake of it. In order to put an end to her, the girl was surprised by such news from him. The girl, not understanding, asked him what he meant, while the boy silently held her hair in his hands. The girl quickly took the boy's hand and asked what was wrong with him. He told her that she had disturbed Marsala's salon and asked how much she had bought. The girl replied that this rag should be destroyed a long time ago and asked him why he was asking such questions. The guy started shouting at her and asked her to answer how much she had. The girl replied that her share was 30%. The guy was disappointed by what the girl said and added that he really wanted to understand her. The girl tries to calm the boy down and told him that this company is worth 3 million gold. The boy began to reproach the girl that he told her to be more careful and added that Marsala had connections. The guy asked her why she didn't stop. The girl replied that the business with fake shares will not succeed if this case is not saved. You could see how annoyed the guy was. He got angry and called the girl a fool. In the end, the boy added that Marsala's mistress, Julia, is the king's mistress, and not just a mistress, but the mother of his child. The girl was very surprised by such news and said that it was no wonder that she had not seen her at various events. He told her that if the country did not belong to princes born out of wedlock, he was still the king's son, and added that the authorities had already started a secret investigation and they were going to arrest her. The girl asked him why he should tell her about it now, because he should have warned her in advance. The guy began to wave away, saying that how should he know what the royal family was hiding, and said that things were going well for him. After continuing, the boy said that everything would be fine if it weren't for her stupid father, because he told everything to Holland, Arrington, and it really became a problem. The girl was very worried by this news and asked how serious it all was. The guy said that the source of the money laundering was revealed, and it also turned out that Westwood had interfered with Bradshaw. Eric was very amused that Westwood Bank is now deliberately undercutting Marsala's stock prices. And all this is precisely because of her, precisely because she is connected with this salon. The boy also added that the king had hired the Blue Wing News Agency, and his mercenaries would be looking for her. The girl thinks that the best solution would be to retreat, and she understands that it should be done before it is too late. The boy was interested in the fact that she was able to sell 30% of her share. The girl answered him that she sold only 5%, and she also didn't know if it was good or not, that there was no reaction to it in the market. The girl replied that she still has 25%. The girl begins to think that it is possible to return them, and those that were already sold can be restored quickly. Leaning over to the girl and touching her shoulder, the boy asked her if she really thought that the king would not act if she quickly washed her hands. Leaning closer to her ear, the boy said that he will find out everything, and when he finds out, he will certainly make every effort to prevent her. Finally, the guy who was already walking repeated his question, so that the girl would think about it. The girl began to envy him and said that he takes the money she earned for 5 years and leaves her with such ease. The boy told her that she needed to go to Jones and beg him because he was an old friend of Marquis Westwood, and if she promises to marry him, he will be able to solve everything. Looking at the boy, Dorene thinks that this is a bad idea, but she tells him that this is very interesting information. At that time, the guy said that she had nothing to resist because this was the solution to her problems. The guy also added that as soon as the investigation begins, they will freeze all her accounts, and if they freeze her shares, she will become bankrupt. The girl answered him that she transferred all her bank accounts to Alicia in order to be ready for this. The boy replied that, unfortunately, if the king interferes here, even he will be powerless. But the girl was very determined and said that she would rather throw the money away. Before forcing herself to marry Johnson, he really was very disgusted with her, and she was not going to spoil her life. But the boy added that despite this, it is good that her father earned. The girl denied him, saying no. The naive girl believed that her father would have told her about it right away. Pointing to the papers, the man says that this story is really hard to believe, and he adds that this is all the work of a girl and a teenager. He knew for sure that William Bradshaw was a very big problem for him. Slamming his fist on the table, he said that his daughter violates the order of the auction market. At this time, William Bradshaw was very scared because he did not know what to expect from him. The man continued by saying that it was already difficult for him to deal with the president of the bank, Alicia, who had returned from Romina after 6 years of being there. Another man who was sitting behind turned to the minister saying that there is no need to be so strict. This man added that he does not need his criticism, he needs a solution. The man turned to the Viscount and said that the most important thing was Marsala's salon, and noted that the Viscount should give the fortune he owns and the borrowed 5%. At that time, the man noted that it would be difficult to distribute all the shares and offered his help, to which the minister replied that they would pay 1,000,000 gold, including interest. Bradshaw addressed them, saying that he would be very grateful, but his daughter would not calm down. The man noted that it was his property, not his daughter's. He added that such a young girl needs a man who can guide her on the right path. And he added that luckily Jones Adams had already expressed his desire to marry her. Holding out the papers, the man added that he only needed a seal in the marriage contract. The man also noted that he added another very important point. Pointing to that specific position, he noted that it says that he is giving 100,000 of the promised amount as an insurance deposit. And he added that if Bradshaw breaks the terms of the contract, it will cost him 10,000,000 gold. The man was not satisfied with such an amount, so he turned to Marquis Theodore and said that it was an incredible amount. At this time, the cunning Marquis reassures the Viscount so that he signs their agreement as soon as possible, and he added that it was only so that she could not refuse the engagement, and added that he did not need to pay for anything. In the end, the man turned his attention to the king and asked him if he was right. The king looked very serious from one look at him. The blood boiled in his veins. He turned and said that even if he had to pay, it would still be better than dying paying for the fact that they caused problems to his beloved. Holding the letter in her hands, the girl read what was there, namely that Bradshaw must pay fines in the amount of 1,000,000 gold for terminating the contract. Clutching this humiliating piece of paper, the girl got angry because they would have finished this case for 4,000, but now they have to give 1,000,000. At that time, father stood and apologized to her, but of course the girl could not forgive this. She started swinging at him, asking if he wanted to marry her so badly or if he really felt sorry for her. The man could not find the words to comfort his beloved daughter. The girl continued to shout at him and asked that he was sorry, but he dared to sell her for the second time. The girl was incredibly angry at what he did so that she could end it only by paying compensation. The father began to justify himself by saying that she misunderstood him and he was only thinking about her, but the girl quickly silenced him by saying that he was delusional. The girl added that she was not going to marry Jones, let alone live with his evil and cruel daughter Marilyn. Dorene also added that she will not be able to pay the fine, so she will spend the money as she wants, because she earned all this money to put the family back on its feet. The girl turned to her maid Anna and ordered her to gather, because they were going. At that time, the father tried to stop his daughter. After walking around the shops, the girl really did not expect anything less from Eluano's chief designer, Marina Austin. The girl noted that her new designs are impressive. Delicate dresses, shoes, and long earrings. The ring of a special shape is the only one in the world. The girl knew for sure that she had made enough to afford to buy it. But minors cannot spend money on their own according to Vinash's law, so she had to open an account under someone else's name. Eric helped her, but now he was of no use. She knew that from now on she could trust only herself. Mentally, the girl orders herself to collect her thoughts, while I call her maid Anna. Anna asked the young hostess if she didn't like anything here. The girl answered that no, it was not like that and everything was very beautiful. At this time, the girl turns to Dorene, saying that she did not think that she would meet her here. The young girl politely flew past Dorene. You could see that the girl was surprised by such a meeting. After all, that girl turned out to be none other than Jones's daughter, Merlin. She very rudely asked if she could call her mother. The girl was not confused and brilliantly answered that she did not remember when she became the mother of such a terrible daughter. The girl also answered no worse, saying that she allows herself too much as the one who was sold. But Dorene's answer was much better. She said that her father is so miserable that he has to buy people. This quite upset the little girl. She questioned her about what she had just said, but Dorene proudly raised her head and said that it was time for her to go, because she did not have as much free time as some. Dorene kindly wished the girl to have a good time. She came out victorious in this little battle, while the girl remained standing in place, unable to do anything. She was Dorene Bradshaw, smart and incredibly beautiful, very self-confident and charismatic. The girl hears how she asks whose character the girl has gone to, since she could not cope with her, and remained only to spread gossip. Suddenly the girl has the idea to pay the fine and go abroad to look for a better life. Walking down the street, Dorene thinks that she needs to find a broker. The girl began to wonder who she can entrust her wealth to. At this time, someone is watching her. Suddenly, very unexpectedly for the girl, someone grabs her hand. It was the one who was watching her. Suddenly, In an instant, the girl disappears from the main street and remains in a small alley. The girl was really not jokingly scared looking at all the circumstances. She was very interested in who it could be, because she could not believe that it was really the work of Count Jones. Does he really want to force her to marry him with such a dirty trick? The girl ran away with all her might in order to fall into this hole again. In the end, the same thing happened as when she was kidnapped. The girl understands that fear will not change this situation in any way, and this time she needs to find a way out of the situation, she begins to think. Suddenly, her mysterious person turned to her, asking why she was so scared, and said that it was him. The girl was familiar with this voice. What was the girl's surprise when she saw Eric in front of her? The guy called the girl cute and asked how she was doing. The girl could calm down. She said that it was just him and asked him not to scare her like that anymore. The guy started laughing and asked how scary it was and said that he grabbed her just to avoid attracting attention. The girl hit him on the stomach and said that he is now holding his own. While the girl began to calm down, the guy said that he came to her in general to help her, and she behaves like this with him. The girl asked what the matter was because he said that he broke up with her. Eric replied that at first he wanted to, but he is too kind, so he could not remain indifferent. The girl said that if he continues to carry delusions, she will simply leave. To which the boy replied that she would be very sorry if she didn't want to listen to him. The guy asked if she had heard the news that the director of the bank, Alish, returned after staying abroad for 6 years. This really brought the girl's attention back. She was interested in what was going on. Damon No, at the age of 26, outlived his 2 brothers, who were the true heirs. An illegitimate son who received the title of Duke, he made the bank the first in Kane, despite the interference of the royal family, the duchy, and Westwood. This person became influential not only in Venetia but also in Romina, and so he returned after 6 years of absence. The girl asked him with the rest what he wanted to say, whether she should learn from him how to escape from the country. But the boy asked her to listen and said that he was personally acquainted with his assistant, adding that he was in his debt. The guy said that he told him about the girl. In turn, Dorene was dissatisfied with the fact that he was once again revealing all her secrets to someone. The boy pointed his finger at the girl's forehead and asked her to use her smart head and think carefully. The guy continued by asking who has the worst relationship with Westwood. It was a rhetorical question, so he himself answered that Alicia has, and added that he is interested in the girl. The girl asked him to stop and emphasized that she was getting married in 2 weeks. The guy answered her that, of course, what is, but from now on it is not like that. And he added that there would be no wedding on this day. He said it so confidently, as if he had come up with some kind of plan. The guy sitting at the table said that it was necessary to arrange a ball and that all the aristocrats should be present. He added that it will be just a grand celebration. Damon No is the director of Alicia Bank, the first in Venetia. The guy's assistant said that it was on this day that Dorene Bradshaw and Jones Adams' wedding should take place, while Damon responded by asking what they would do in that case. The assistant replied that the power of the Duke is much greater. That is why the wedding will most likely be cancelled or brought. Elliot was Damon's assistant. The guy said that they shouldn't be involved in this and asked if Marina was responsible for her wedding dress and asked her to slow down a little. Elliot asked how it was possible to organize such a magnificent ball in just 2 weeks, adding that Jones Adams will most likely be against it. The guy said that although he felt sorry for him, they would have to ignore him. The guy said that now that he is being given this information, he should understand the consequences. The assistant begins to remember how Eric said that they can see the materials he sent in order to make sure of everything. Dorene earns money by disrupting Westwood and the royal family, a woman with a bright and brilliant sense. Damon said he owed it to Eric, so he did what he asked, but Dorene Bradshaw, excellent intuition, extensive experience, and she has a bad relationship with Westwood Bank. The guy added that he also wanted to buy Marsala's salon, but he didn't know that Julia was the king's beloved. The aide answered him that the Blue Wings news agency did everything to hide it. The guy began to think that a fine of 1 million gold is a lot, or will she be able to invest so much money? Damon asked if Jones Adams was not married and asked what happened to his ex-wife. Elliot replied that 10 years ago she was put in a mental hospital and she went crazy. The guy ordered his assistant to find out if she is still there, while the guy thinks that a person who can invest 1 million gold. He met such a genius only once in his life. 6 years later, when he turned 20 years old, he was appointed to the position of head of the Noah family. Although they all did not consider him their relative, but there was a reason for this, and of course everyone wanted to kill him in order to take the bank for themselves. He became the head of the family. Since the real heirs play gambling games and survive prohibited substances, then nothing can be done. The days when he lived in anticipation of when he would be killed. He heard the boys say that they had nothing to worry about because he got a good poison. At that time, he saw only a hopeless future in which there was not even a ray of hope, a bad life. He was the head of the family, but he did not understand why he should be at such events. But one day at a ball, he went to the garden where he could hide from everything. But suddenly, to the boy's surprise, he saw something interesting. In his garden, on a bench under the full moon, sat a girl who seemed to be bathed in the moonlight. The guy immediately caught himself thinking that she looked incredible and noticed that she looked about 14 years old. The girl was already getting up to make room for such a respectable person, when the boy began to wonder if she was one of the aristocrats. But suddenly a little clumsy girl slipped and started to fall. She was very scared and flew down so fast that she thought it would hurt. But at this time, the guy saved her from falling, catching her in time. The guy asked her if she was all right. At that time, he was thinking that she smelled like champagne. The girl replied that she was fine and thanked him for saving her. The boy asked himself if she was drunk. Suddenly, the girl became hysterical because she greased her shoes. The girl begins to regret because they cost her so much. At this time, the noble guy says that if she doesn't mind, he will help. The guy hands the girl a handkerchief. It was really a noble act on his part. The girl thanked him because thanks to him she was saved from shame. The girl said that in gratitude for this, she would give him one wish. The boy was very surprised because he did not understand how such a wish was. The boy did not answer immediately, even though he knew that no one could solve this problem. He replied to the girl that in that case they might think about this issue together. The boy began to tell that is why he is planning to go abroad, because he is Romina's prince interested in their marriage. But later the boy began to wonder what he was doing, because it was not in his spirit to complain to a drunk girl. But the boy continued to tell. That is why they were going to run away there to expand the bank, and when everything quiets down. Without agreeing, the girl killed him, saying that it was just a postponement. And she added that the bigger the bank becomes, the more they will try to kill it. It seemed that the boy had already fallen into despair, because in such a case, he was not destined to live anyway. The boy began to tell that the same thing happened to his mother only because she was from the common people, but she gave birth to a son to the Duke. She died in agony. The girl was surprised by such a story of the boy, because it was familiar to her. She replied that she doesn't have a mother either, which of course attracted the boy's attention. The girl asked not to tell anyone about it from that moment on, and asked him not to try to find out who she is. The girl advised him to open a charity fund. The guy was very surprised and asked her, and she answered that he needed to donate all his property there. Precisely because the charity fund does not belong to a person, and even if he dies, the Duke will not receive anything. The guy asked her if in this case he would not become bankrupt. The girl replied that he can be the director of the fund, and, of course, appoint the closest person as the heir. In this case, the Duke will not get a penny, and then they will leave him alive in order to join the bank to the family. The guy jumped to his feet and said that she was saying everything correctly, and added that now is not the time, and we need to get to work as soon as possible. Suddenly, the guy began to think that he had been thinking about solving the problem for several months, and she was able to come up with the perfect idea instantly. It surprised him, because she is only 14 years old. The girl asked if it was considered a wish. The boy replied that it was more, and he did not know how to thank her. The girl replied that everything was fine. She didn't need anything. The guy was surprised. The girl continued by saying that she is talking about life because you need to live on the money you earned yourself. Turning to the boy at the end, she said that this is why she will manage on her own. The guy asked his assistant if it could be the same person. Elliot asked him not to overestimate his expectations. Damon said that if this is really her, then she needs to be brought here by any means, because now their bank needs a genius like her very much. The girl sat and wondered what dress she should choose for this important ball. Count Adams was very angry that Damon arranged a ball for all the aristocrats on his wedding day. He thought it was an insult to his family. While talking to Dorene, he asked her if she was really going to go there, to which the girl replied that her wedding dress was not ready yet, adding that suddenly her skirt had come off. The girl asked to postpone the wedding as soon as possible and added that he may not inform about the new date personally, saying that it will be enough to send a letter. When the girl finished the conversation, the guy tried to convince her, but it was in vain. He was very angry because the Duke dared to disrupt his holiday. While Jones was indignant and angry with Damon No, his daughter Marilyn was keeping a close eye on this whole affair. The girl sat and did not understand why she should scream if it would not change anything. Dorene sat and thought that usually she does not like pain, but now it is a completely different case, because this is the last chance kindly given to her by the director of the bank, Alish. She didn't know for sure what he was up to, but she knew for sure that it could help buy time. She clearly understood that she had to prevent this wedding for 2 weeks. The girl approached the window. She had a lot of thoughts about this. Having opened her white curtains, she understood that no one could save her except herself. Looking out the window, she was sure that 2 weeks should be enough for her. 2 weeks later, this ball began. Many guests gathered. Young girls talked among themselves about business, noting that they doubled their investments. And they added that it was all thanks to Duke Damon. He was a little embarrassed, but answered that he was very pleased. Duke Damon No is the handsome director of the Alizir Bank. It would seem that he was ideally suited to the place of Marilyn Adams's husband. And although the girl clearly understood that her father hated him, she could not do anything about herself because she adored such provocative men. This self-centered girl knew that she could not let such an opportunity pass. Therefore, she dares to be the first to approach the Duke. She congratulated him. Damon also greeted the young lady. The guy turned to her saying that he had heard about a difficult situation in her family. The girl was shocked that he knew so much. The girl answered him that it seems to her that there was a misunderstanding because her future stepmother and father treat each other well. The guy asked her how it turns out. The girl tried to assure him that it was exactly so because she said so herself. But the intelligent Duke answered her that it was impossible, which clearly forced the girl out of nowhere. Suddenly their conversation was interrupted by something that attracted the attention of absolutely everyone present. Everyone began to whisper, saying whether it was about her that there were such rumors, but none of them dared to say it out loud because they could be heard. Everyone thought she was really very beautiful, despite the rumors that there were no rumors about her, but she really was incredibly beautiful. It was Dorene Bradshaw, and she was wearing an incredible white dress, which was complemented by exquisite jewelry. At this time, Marilyn began to envy her because everyone was looking only at her. But the girl considered it unimportant. The main thing was that the Duke's attention was hers. She turned to him and continued the conversation. But at this time, the Duke did not pay any attention to the fact that he saw Dorene. Nasty Jones talked to Dorene, saying that it didn't matter that the wedding had to be postponed. He added that she was his wife and the property of the Adams family, to which the girl replied that she does not belong to anyone but herself. Adam told her that she was a minor and had no rights, while the girl thinks that he himself is a minor and noted that the organizer of this ball opened a bank at the age of 18. Suddenly, this couple was joined by a girl who said that she had not seen Count Jones Adams for a long time. Julia Millennia did not show up, but you could tell by her that she was not happy to meet the girl. She was the owner of the Marsala Salon, which the girl tried to bankrupt, and at the same time, the mistress of the king. Julia turned around saying that she did not know whether the Count's bride would be happy to meet them, and added that she only makes simple and cheap clothes. She looked at her future husband, who averted his eyes from her and remained silent. But the girl was not lost. She turned to her saying that she is not polite enough to talk politely with rude people. This made Julia confused, because she was not used to being talked to like that. But the girl added that she speaks very correctly, and she added that her clothes are simple and cheap and that this design went out of fashion somewhere around 40 years ago. This not only angered the woman, but at this time Dorene added fuel to the fire by saying that it was a waste of money for her clothes, which had never had good reviews. For the fact that the girl was so frank and honest, Julia rewarded her with a rather strong slap. The woman did not understand how she dared to talk to her like that. At this time, the girl looked at Jones, who stood silently and did not even look at her. She was interested in whether he would not do anything. But the girl understood that he simply could not do this, because he would not dare to go against the beloved king. The girl did not believe that she was his future wife. Not joking, the girl decided to leave when she got angry. While Jones tried to stop her, he thought it was not funny. He grabbed the hand of the girl who was trying to leave. It was clear that he would not let her go so easily. and he started shouting at her, begging her to listen to him. The girl shouted back at him that he was annoying her and asked to let go of his hand. The guy started saying that he is not what she thinks. At that time, the girl was already really in pain and asked him to let her go. But fortunately, the noble duke intervened and helped her by removing this hideous count. Throwing Adams to the ground, he asked the girl if she was okay and asked if her wrist was badly injured. He also added that she does not deserve such a relationship in this place. There was no doubt in her mind that it was Damon No, the director of Alish Bank. The guy politely addressed the girl and said that he would steal her away for a while. At this time, the humiliated Adams tried to stop them and asked where he was taking his bride. Later, when they went outside, the boy closed the door, leaving Jones inside. Adams asked him what he was doing and just opened the door, but the boy simply apologized and said that it did not concern him. Meanwhile, the girl really did not believe that he could take someone else's bride so easily. The girl asked him if he was feeling well and thanked him for his help, but was very surprised that it happened so suddenly. Returning to the girl, he turned to her and asked if she did not remember him. The girl really didn't understand who he was because she didn't remember him, but the guy added that 6 years ago, Lady Mary's ball. The girl began to remember what she did that day. She did not remember him very well. After all, then she confused champagne with juice and got drunk. 14-year-old Dorene did not understand why she was so hot and decided to go for a walk. The girl turned to him apologizing and added that she was drunk that day, so she doesn't remember. The guy couldn't believe it, but he decided that in such a case it would be correct to ask her another question. He asked how to survive if his relatives want to kill him for money. Dorene noted that it was about him, but the boy asked her to answer the question whether it would be the best way out to create a charity fund, whether he did it or not. But suddenly, to the boy's surprise, the girl answered no, and the girl added that this method worked only once. Amendments were made, and now no one is interested in such organizations. In other words, it worked until he did so. That time has passed. Now the authorities will not approve the fund, which was created to protect property. The girl continued and said that despite this 6 years ago, it was a great idea. The guy asked her where she heard about it, or maybe she read about it in Romina. The girl asked him if there was any law regarding charity. Suddenly, such a warm smile appeared on the boy's face. A blush appeared on his cheeks. He took the girl's hand so gently, but it quite embarrassed her. The guy leaned towards her, saying that he was looking for her and asked her to work in his bank. The girl was surprised by such an offer. At that time, they were interrupted by Adams, who asked the servant to open the door. Grabbing the girl's hand, he started running, inviting her to hide from the annoying man. But suddenly the girl pulled out her hand. The girl turned to him, saying that you shouldn't grab a girl's hand like that. The boy did not understand how he could not notice it immediately. She was definitely the one he met 6 years ago. She was a real genius. Despite serious situations, she kept calm and elegant. These are the main qualities of an auctioneer investor. That's why, taking off his glove, he offered his hand to the girl and asked her permission. The girl kindly agreed and put her hand on his. At this time, Jones Adams tried to finally open this door. He did not understand why it did not open. To his surprise, he saw his future bride walking hand in hand with the charismatic Duke Damon. Finally, breaking into them, he began to shout that he could not simply take his wife and take him away. And he added that if he really wants it, he must pay 1 million gold. At this time, his daughter Marilyn was standing in the middle of the hall filled with people and was blushing because of her father's prank, hearing how everyone was whispering behind her back. Damon No replied that it's true that he wants to get Mrs. Dorene, and he said that he fell in love with her at first sight. The girl thought that he had really lost his mind, but the boy added that he does not have 1 million gold coins in his hands now. But despite this, he added that he will be able to find it now. You could see from Jones's face that he was very surprised by such a prank. The guy ran into the crowd. No one knew what to expect from him. Finally, approaching Viscountess Julia Millionaire, he turned to her saying that he wanted to congratulate her despite the fact that it was already late. At that time, the woman did not understand what was being said because she was not even familiar with him. The guy with a smile asked her if she owns salty marsala. The woman was embarrassed by the boy's behavior but answered in the affirmative. Suddenly, the boy looked at the clock hanging on the mountain. The clock showed that it was already almost 6 o'clock in the evening. At this time, Dorene was watching all this action. She was wondering what the boy had come up with. Suddenly, her assistant approached the Viscountess and addressed her, saying that he had to tell her something. No one knew what exactly was there, but you could see from them that it was definitely bad news. In the next moment, the woman jumped away from her assistant, saying that this could not be. The Duke, standing next to her, greeted the Viscountess with contempt. In front of all the aristocrats present, in front of Dorene, the guy announced that she was bankrupt. At that time, the girl standing behind him thought that he was waiting for the stock market to close. The woman did not understand why the share price suddenly fell. The guy told her that great love always comes with trouble. The guy asked her if she never thought that she was her. At that time, the woman did not understand what he was talking about. The boy told her that the queen was more furious than ever. You could see how scared the woman was. After what the boy said, everyone present was shocked by such news because no one knew about it. The woman was very interested in why suddenly a person who was always silent started talking, no matter how many mistresses the king had. The boy turned to the woman saying that she and the king had crossed the border. He added that she really thought that even if she put a person in a difficult situation, no one would know about it. It was immediately clear that it was about Dorene. Suddenly, the girl realized that she immediately noticed that he was strange. The boy pretended that he was enjoying the ball, although in reality he was giving orders all this time. And his escort probably watched everything and sold off shares during the ball. The boy turned to the Viscountess, asking if she thought that the king's love for her was strong enough to overcome the queen. The woman began to shout that this was unheard of insolence. At that time, the boy answered her that the king had left her to appease the anger of Her Majesty. Damon added that, of course, he also ruins other people's lives because of greed. And he added, saying that a person cannot simply hope for something else, because one has to live on the means that were earned by one's own efforts. Of course, hearing this, the girl didn't say anything, but her palms tingled so much. In the castle, a woman was standing by a large, beautiful window. A man was leaning behind her and said that this was all. It was Ersenia, Queen of Venetia. She replied that she had heard him. She added that the guy can know that she no longer loves her husband. She was certain that his feelings were eternal, but these were just silly fantasies of Princess Romina. The queen added that since he had reported it, it could mean that he wanted something in return. The Duke replied that he did not. The queen began to laugh and said that the boy was lying. She also added that Alexei would have laughed after hearing this. She asked the boy to tell, because he is an old friend of her younger brother Alexei. She was obliged to listen to his request. The boy said that if it was her will, it would be good if she made the king pay for it. And she laughed, but agreed, and she also said that he really hated the king in Westwood. The boy thanked the queen, and she asked him to tell her about Romina later. This kingdom is a boring prison, and there's no joy here. At that time, the assistants were standing next to Marsala, the owner of the salon. They were worried about her condition and asked her to calm down. It seems that the woman was about to lose consciousness. Next to her stood Count Adams, who was shocked and did not believe what was happening. Did the king really give up the Marsala salon? Jones was also worried that Marquis Westwood did not say anything, although he could not contact him for several days. The guy doesn't believe. Did they turn away from him? Did he know that Duke Damon was going to steal his bride? Bending down on his knees, Adams began to cry. He did not accept what had happened. At this time, Damon thought that this moment had finally arrived, the scene he had imagined many times in order to gain the favor of one person. Smiling, the guy turned back and told her to look carefully. But to his surprise, he did not see anyone behind him. Lady Dorene had disappeared somewhere. At that time, the girl holding papers in her hands told the boy that everything was exactly as she asked and thanked him. Eric said that the protection of forensic data is much tougher than he could imagine. He was able to achieve it with great difficulty. The guy turned to her, saying that now there are no responsibilities. The girl told him not to even talk about it, and added that he really thought that she would just forget so easily. Dorene said that if he did not want her to forgive him, he would have to work for another 3 years. The boy knew for sure that if he once again fell in love with her cute face and again stumbled upon kindness, it would not end for him. In his mind, the boy thought that he had already done it, and could not believe that he had stolen important documents. And all this because of guilt. The guy asked her what difference it makes to him if she needs his help if she continues to pay him money. The girl answered him that if he spoils the relationship with the royal family, it will be the end of him. The guy was serious. He said that in this case they should say goodbye. The girl asked him if he had come here for this. The guy said that he was sorry that she was caught. The girl told him that he can ignore it and asked what now. The guy leaned towards her and whispered something in her ear. It was definitely very interesting, and she thought that he was a very bad guy. Damon thinks that it is difficult, but his target is Lady Dorene, but the main character of the evening has disappeared somewhere. But suddenly, when the boy tried to understand where the girl disappeared, she pulled him by his jacket. Dorene asked him how much he earned. The guy was surprised by such a sudden appearance of a girl behind his back. The guy wondered where she came from and did not understand what kind of earnings we were talking about. Later, the girl asked again how much he earned from this. Damon answered that he earned 1.5 million gold. The girl had no shame and asked what her fate was. The boy did not understand what she meant. The girl replied that it was a bait thrown by the Westwood Bank to track her down, and if it weren't for her, he wouldn't have been able to get hold of such shares. And finally, she said that she has the right to it. Damon replied that by law he should not give her a fortune, but the girl replied that he had just hired her, and she could ask for a bonus for contributing to a big deal. The guy tried to deny her saying that he did not hire her. The girl said good because she will still lose the court and added that in such a case she is fired. The guy was shocked that she asked him for a bonus without a legal reason, and it seemed that he believed her not even for a second. The girl also asked what kind of words about love they were, and added asking if he was going to answer for his words. The guy replied that he would definitely take responsibility for this. The girl did not understand what exactly he was talking about. The guy, without explaining anything to the girl, turned around and went towards Adams, who was lying on the floor at that time. Damon, approaching Jones, told him that thanks to the situation with Marsala, he unexpectedly had 1.5 million gold and asked if it wasn't wonderful. The boy, smiling and enjoying his victory, asked him if he should pay him 1 million gold coins as agreed. Everyone present was shocked by such a turn. They could not believe that Duke Damon beat them at their own game. Jones, realizing that Westwood had already refused him, simply could not refuse the money, so he agreed. Damon already wanted to agree on the payment. As Dorene objected to him, the girl added that the Duke does not have to pay 1 million gold. Turning to Damon, the girl said that she wondered what he would do when he said that he would take responsibility. She was very interested in why he wanted to solve her problems. The girl also said that the Count was the first to break their agreement. Approaching Adams, the girl showed him the same mysterious papers and asked if he knew them. They turned out to be divorce documents between the Count and his wife. Dorene asked him if he sent a certain amount every month to the psychiatric hospital and added that she was able to meet his wife there. The girl continued by saying that she asked her personally, and she said that she never signed any divorce papers. She also added that the specialist confirmed that this signature does not belong to her, and if the divorce is declared invalid, the marriage contract will become irrelevant. And finally, she said that since such a situation happened, now he should pay her compensation. Returning and proudly walking away, the girl said that she would wait for her 1 million gold, while the boy begged her to stop. Looking at her, Damon realized that she and he really looked alike. She wanted to take revenge on him in front of everyone, and she was able to do it on her own, and she is an incredibly strong girl. The Alishka Bank by any means. When Lady Dorene left the ball, a boy ran after her and asked her to wait and listen to him. He added that it will be much more difficult for her to get 1 million gold. It will be easier for Jones to convict her than to pay, because the court is on the side of the royal family. The guy added that even if he pays everything, this amount will belong to her father. But the girl replied that she didn't care, because it was dishonestly earned money. He told the girl that she will get them or not, but Westwood is already grinding on her. Turning to Damon, the girl asked, and thanks to whom it all happened. The guy invited her to come to his bank and emphasized that they are financially stronger than Westwood. He convinced the girl that he would be able to protect her. The girl answered him that she did not understand why he needed her so much and asked how he knew that her skills were worth it. The boy answered that he wanted to destroy Westwood, and for this he needed her. But the girl told him that he had a completely different enemy and whispered that it was the king. Damon was shocked and asked how she knew. She said that the fund's investments are undermining the royal family's business and added that he should be more careful. The guy was very surprised because neither the Khalif family nor even the bank had any idea about it, and she understood it only after looking at his investment history. The girl asked that if she agrees to work for them, how will they pay? Because she is a minor and therefore cannot open an account. She asked whether they would pay her father. The girl asked him if he knows why she obeys her father because when he dies, she will still inherit all the property, to be sure of her inheritance, the right to which is guaranteed. Herzog asked her if he would give her such confidence or if she would work for him. But the girl was interested in how he was going to do it. Damon replied that he could not leave her under the care of such an incompetent man as Viscount Bradshaw, so he was going to take away his parental rights, then she would be free. The guy added that in this case, she would become the heir to his fund, and if it happens that he dies, the fund will pass into her hands. The girl was surprised by such a decision of the boy. While the girl was gathering her things, the maid was fussing, asking where she had gone and what the Viscount would say. The girl replied that she did not want to know him and that she had a new father. The maid was very confused and questioned her. The girl offered the maid to go with her, adding that she would be paid more there and told her to write to her at that time. Bradshaw saw this conversation. The father began to bow at her feet and say that he was very guilty, while the girl pretended not to know him. The father said that he could not live without her and asked him to forgive him for the last time, because he raised her well. The girl answered him that it was because she always corrected his mistakes, and the girl added that now he will not receive a single penny from her. The father began to get angry because of the girl's disobedience, but he remembered that it is not necessary because he is still her legal guardian, and wherever she works, all her money will be his. Finally, as she was leaving, the girl added that the bank's lawyers would arrive soon. The father did not understand what was happening, as the girl added that they would deal with the termination of parental rights and asked him to just do what they said so as not to tire them both, because it was not the first time for him. The father was very angry and asked her what she was talking about. How could he be deprived of his parental rights? The girl asked her father if he remembers the day when she was kidnapped. She said that she just wanted to be a good daughter, because he was left to live alone and she felt sorry for him. She just wanted to give him the life he dreamed of. But sitting in that bag, she changed her mind because she realized that no one in the world could protect her, and that it was impossible to live with such a stupid father and be a good daughter. When she finally understood this, she wasn't even scared or angry. She is glad that she could finally say these things, and she told him not to live like this. On the way to his new house, the guy said that the lawyers should already prepare a lawsuit. If his rights are taken away, she will still keep her last name. So the guy asked her not to worry about it. The guy added that when they are in court, they can simply draw up documents or even imprison him. The girl thinks that her father is a good man because he already had precedents. Damon said that as she asked, they prepared everything for her to stay at the estate. The boy asked if she was sure. The girl noted that of course they are not married or engaged, so it may seem strange to others, but she said that it is nothing to worry about because she trusts him. The guy was surprised by such sincerity of the girl. The boy assured her that he would make sure that no one found out about them for the next few days and added that this was his specialty, asking her not to worry. The guy said that his assistant will be her guardian for the first 3 years. He will receive her funds after that. He will add up everything she earned for all 3 years and send it to her account. Damon asked if she trusts him now. The girl answered that trust will appear after signing the contract. He said that he expected it. That's why he prepared the first option. The girl said that it doesn't take time, and that's great. The girl could not believe that she could inherit 20 million zlotys, and noted that the conditions were not so favorable. Dorene asked if people would mind. Damon replied that he was the only director, so she had nothing to worry about, because it was his money anyway. The guy added that, of course, the board members were not very happy, but if he doesn't become her, she can become the director. The girl thought that if Duke Damon dies, she will become one of the owners of the bank. If she says that she wants to become a director, no one will dare to oppose, but it is unlikely that it will come to that. Having put the contract at her feet, the girl turned to the boy, saying that they needed to clarify something first. She said that she prefers honesty of interest and does not believe in feelings. And finally she said that until he clearly says why he is helping the simple daughter of the Viscount, she will not be able to trust him. The guy replied that he was not going to get married and have an heir. Initially, the charity fund was supposed to start working after his death. He had no one to leave all his property to and needed a person who would attract attention to himself. And the guy said that now he is incredibly happy to do business with her. It seems strange to the girl, because he is so happy when he says that he will give her all his money. While the girl was thinking that his behavior was a little strange, they had already arrived at the estate. The boy's assistant kindly led the girl to her room. She thought that the room would not be too fancy, but it turned out that it was really luxurious. The assistant said that he had prepared a bath for her with Marilyn's petals. The girl caught herself thinking that he had used such expensive flowers. The guy also noticed that the girl often wears shoes, so he hired a person to give her a massage and added that if I need anything, she can call the maid. The girl thought that it was a waste, which she told the assistant, and he surprisingly agreed with her, but said that the Duke said that it was an investment. The girl was disturbed by the thought that he really thinks that he can attract her to him in such a way. But later the girl said that he came up with a good bath and massage and ordered to prepare everything. Damon's assistant stood and read to her that breakfast starts at 7 in the morning, but they can serve it before the girl wakes up. Noticing that the girl was a little relaxed, the guy asked if she was listening to him at all. The girl said that he was Elliot Stanford, butler and assistant to the Duke, and that breakfast is served at 7 o'clock in the morning. Suddenly, looking at the girl, the boy realizes that she was listening, but he does not understand why he found fault with her. The guy said that she might not work for almost a month, but the girl didn't understand why, so she decided to ask. Elliot said that the former person in charge of the job for which Sir Damon had hired her would return only when he had dealt with management in Romina since the Duke had left that city. The girl asked if it would be better for her to look at this place. She should study the department and understand how things are going. The guy was surprised because he thought that she was going to rest and not get ready for work. The girl began to remember how the boy told her that he would do everything as it should, perfectly without any mistakes. If that's what Sir Damon said about him, then this butler is definitely something. He agreed and said that tomorrow she would go with him. The girl was happy that she would be able to start a new job. Alish Investment Bank has a meeting room on the 14th. Today, many people gathered here and everyone discussed the latest news very violently. Clark Wesley is the temporary manager of the Securities Trading Department. He did not believe that this really happened. He thought that Duke Damon must have lost his mind. It wasn't enough that he bankrupted Marsala and turned away from the royal family. Now he doesn't really want to give the bank to a 20-year-old girl. The boy did not understand because he entrusted him with the management of the division. The boy thought that it was preparation for managing a bank. But suddenly he decided to give his fund to a completely unknown girl. The boy began to say that the Duke was definitely fooled by her appearance and was mistaken, the boy said, as if she might know about management. At this time, someone touched his shoulder and said that it should not worry him. Returning, the boy saw Sir Damon. The Duke said that he is so angry that it even makes him feel guilty. And everyone who was in this hall was in a bad mood. The guy asked why they had finished scolding him. Sitting down at the table, the guy offered to start negotiations. One of his subordinates said that it seems that Sir Damon does not understand something because she is only 20 years old. The Duke replied that he founded his bank at 18. The man could not find anything to answer him. The guy reassured them by saying that the new manager will take up his position only after his resignation and added that fortunately he is only 26, so he can last another 40 years. And then she will be 60. Some of them calmed down because they were sure that Sir Damon was calculating everything in advance. Almost everyone agreed with him, except for Clark, who said that everything was not so simple. He convinced her to work in a bank and promised to leave the fund. Damon replied that, of course, she would receive a fee that would correspond to her contribution. Besides, for the time being, he manages his fund himself. The guy asked what value it would carry in 40 years, but the guy thought that if it won't be worth that much, why not give it to him? Clark asked what makes this girl better than them. Is she really so unique? The guy replied that Dorene Bradshaw would work on a new model of the system. Everyone was very surprised. Another one of his subordinates said that he wants to say that this plan will soon be monetized. The guy replied that this is the case, and all the preparations are over. The guy said that in the next 3 years, Westwood will come to an end. Walking through the corridors and holding the magic stone in his hands, Clark said that he did not believe that this was possible, after all that he had earned for this company. The guy said that it was not in his head. He tried so hard to reach this position, the one who talked to him about the magic stone and said that it was very insulting. After all, he worked with him for so many years. The guy thought that he should notice his efforts. At this time, Clark's interlocutor said that this girl is spoiling everything and that the Duke is a bad person who behaved like her. Clark agreed with him, saying that it was so, and what could a 20-year-old girl know, especially about the system? The system is a huge operating system that will answer all human questions, but it has not yet been activated due to unknown circumstances. And really only one girl can start it. Clark came to the conclusion that he would not leave her alone. His thirst for revenge was much stronger than common sense. The boy, who was so angry, said that he would be able to prove that the Duke had made a mistake. The next morning, the girl was having breakfast when Damon told her that Elite told him that she wanted to go with him to the bank. Damon added that unfortunately today he is too busy with his duties. That is why he will help her. The guy noticed that the girl was late for breakfast today and asked her if something happened. The girl replied that it was nothing serious. But in fact, the new maid made many mistakes. But the girl decided not to tell about it so as not to cause a stir. The girl really missed Anna very much. She was so sensual and talented. The girl remembered that she gave her a business card and wondered when she would write. While reading the newspaper, the boy noticed that the share price had fallen. The girl was interested in this and asked which shares. He decided that it would be better if the girl saw it herself, so he asked her to look, handing her a newspaper. Opening the newspaper, the girl saw that the headlines were filled with the names of Dorene Bradshaw, Count Adams, and Duke No. A great decline in stocks. Duke Damon No made a splash when he returned home. His new lover was a minor. The girl was very surprised that they called her his lover, because when she was kidnapped and sold to Adams, everyone was silent. The girl said that she was very sorry that she had such a relationship with him, but the boy replied that it was not her fault. This is a rotten country in which a girl should get married at 18 and become an adult at 23. And he added that, by the way, now her father claims that he kidnapped her. The girl thought that he was very stubborn. Damon reassured the girl by saying that she had nothing to worry about because they would take appropriate measures, and added that lawyers were preparing a lawsuit against the newspaper for defamation. He added that, by the way, their publishing house would soon issue a response to their articles. At that time, the girl wondered if everything would really be all right, because if the shares continued to fall, the bank would be in danger. The girl remembers how Damon said that he will make sure that no one will find out about her for the next few days. The girl thinks that he said it so calmly. She could not even believe that he was so confident in himself and his abilities. The boy interrupted the girl, saying that he could show her something better. He said that this is the main gate of the Noan estate, which is illuminated by a magic window, and the people standing there are journalists, half on their side and half on the Westwood side. The boy added that today she will pass by them while going to work. The girl was excited by such news. Pointing with his finger, the boy said that it is still possible to change public opinion. And he added that in any case, her honor and dignity will not be harmed, and confirmed that he is sure of this. The girl said that if the circumstances were like this, would he be kind enough to see her off? At this time, the girl thinks that she will look like the most insidious woman in the world. The guy gave the girl a tender look, and looking at him, the girl really became a little calmer. The guy said that she will look like the best heiress in history and held out his hand to the girl. Having gone out into the street, everyone very quickly began to ask them about yesterday's statement, referring to the fact that many people do not believe in it. But Dorene and Damon looked so relaxed and easy, as if they were completely unaffected by what was happening outside. The girl thinks that there is nothing strange in the fact that they do not believe that she is a victim. Lady Dorene suffered horribly at the hands of Viscount Bradshaw, and Jones Adams was also involved. Duke Damon fell in love with the poor girl and decided to help her and gave her temporary shelter. He wants to protect the girl without touching her even with a finger until she comes of age. At this time, the girl says that no one will ever believe in this. The guy asked her if it wasn't romantic. The girl also added that she had never been beaten in her life, so it was all delusional. And he noted that a well-thought-out lie sounds more believable than facts. Pointing to the hand, the girl began to remember that she was injured that day. The guy noted that this could be evidence of violence. The girl said that her dignity will not suffer, but that at the expense of shares, all this has no meaning if he cannot convince people of my sanity. He said that there was another plan for this. As always, he was confident in what he was doing. He turned to the girl and said that it was time for them to go to work. The girl was interested in what was waiting for her, so she went with him. Walking past the journalists, the girl thinks that she is suspected while they are asking for an explanation. One of the journalists said that she was only 17 years old, but even then she predicted the decline of the shares of the Elick Coffee Company, which had existed for 18 years. While the girl could not understand what was happening, the boy took the whole situation into his own hands and answered by asking if they had seen the transactions on Viscount Bradshaw's account. The journalist asked if he meant to say that Lady Dorene had been investing instead of her father since the age of 15. The guy replied that the closest relatives confirmed this information and that this girl was subjected not only to cruel treatment, but also to the exploitation of her abilities. The girl was shocked by the fact that he told this to everyone because he did not say what he had to tell about the investment. But the boy noted that his position has not changed. Dorene is the most promising employee of their bank. And the boy added that they are ready to sacrifice anything to protect this genius. The second journalist asked Lady Dorene to prove that she was really involved in investments instead of her father. The girl simply said that she would not wear this hat. But the journalist did not understand anything and decided to ask the girl. She answered him that the production of this brand will go bankrupt within a year. Until then, journalists sought information and tried to stop them. Dorene and Duke Damon went to work. Driving in the car, the girl asked if he set it up on purpose. The guy replied that Westwood found out that she had invested, and he decided that now everyone could know about it. The guy added that if you compare something small with something big, people focus on the latter and forget about the insignificant first look at things. The girl remarked that she would never be able to guess his thoughts in advance, and the boy asked if it was a compliment. The girl said that she did not know anyone more crazy than him. The guy smiled and replied that in that case it was a compliment. The guy added that from now on, everything depends on her, because the employees of his bank will not trust him more than others. She did not understand him and questioned him. The fact that Alish's bank rarely hires aristocrats. After all, he is an illegitimate son, born of a simple person, and humble, simple people work in his modest bank. The guy added that an ordinary person does not treat aristocrats as well as any of his employees, and added that, of course, she with her title is no exception. The girl begins to think that he wants her to prove her worth and gain the trust of the employees. The girl thinks that she will have to suffer a little because this is her future bank. Going inside, the girl saw that there was some kind of mess around. Everyone was fussing and looking for some documents. The 7th floor is the securities trading department. They definitely needed to change something because there was just chaos around. Looking at it, the girl thinks that this is probably the biggest and most profitable department here. The girl asked what they do. The guy answered that they force people to buy and sell shares so they earn commissions and receive additional income. The girl noted that the stock exchange will open very soon and asked if there should be such chaos here. The girl said that this means that the person responsible for it is incompetent, and the guy replied that it is because he is simply being temporarily replaced by another person. At that time, one of the papers fell near the girl, and she heard a conversation about what he was supposed to be doing at first. Raising her head, the girl sees that it is a man, and he turns to her very contemptuously, saying that what she is doing here is that the stock exchange will open soon.